HFY hunting grounds. The prey arrives. The transport ship New Dawn drifted through space towards Station Epsilon 7, completely unaware it was being watched. Inside, 300 human colonists slept in cryopods, dreaming of the new world they would call home. They had left Earth 6 months ago, traveling to a distant system where humanity planned to establish its newest colony. Captain Rachel Torres stood on the bridge, reviewing the final approach to the refueling station. She was 42 years old, a veteran of colony runs, and this was supposed to be her last mission before retirement. The station appeared on her screens, a large commercial hub where ships from dozens of species stopped to trade and resupply. "We're being hailed by the station," her communications officer reported. "Standard approach vectors being transmitted." "Acknowledge and proceed," Torres ordered. "Wake the crew. I want everyone at their stations when we dock." What Torres didn't know was that Station Epsilon 7 had been compromised 3 weeks ago. The legitimate station operators were dead, replaced by something far more dangerous. The Zithral Hunting Collective had claimed the station as their newest trap. The Zithral were predators in the truest sense. They didn't conquer worlds or build empires. They hunted. For thousands of years, they had traveled the galaxy, seeking species they deemed worthy prey. They studied their targets, learned their habits, and then they struck. And humans, according to their analysis, were perfect prey. Lord Kessex watched from his command chamber as the human vessel approached. His elongated body was covered in chitinous plates that shifted colors with his mood, currently a deep purple of anticipation. His multiple eyes tracked every detail of the approaching ship. "They suspect nothing," his tactical officer reported. "Their weapons are powered down. Their shields are minimal. They believe they are safe." Kessex clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. Humans. They spread across the stars so quickly, building colonies on every habitable world they find. They trust too easily. They believe the galaxy is friendly. He activated the holographic display showing everything the collective had learned about humanity. A young species, barely 2 centuries in space. Physically weak compared to most galactic species. Short-lived. No natural weapons or armor. They evolved on a high-gravity world, his science officer noted. This gives them some physical advantages. Stronger muscles, denser bones. But nothing that concerns us. We have hunted far more dangerous prey. Kessex nodded. The humans have one quality that makes them interesting: they are persistent. When threatened, they do not give up easily. This will make the hunt more entertaining. The New Dawn docked with the station. Captain Torres led a small team to the station to complete the refueling arrangements. They walked through corridors that seemed empty, though they didn't notice the sensors tracking their every move. Torres felt uneasy. Something was wrong. The station was too quiet. Where were the workers? Where were the other travelers? "Captain, I'm not detecting any life signs except us," her security officer said quietly. "This station should have at least 500 people aboard." Torres's hand moved to her sidearm. "Back to the ship. Now." They never made it. Doors slammed shut ahead and behind. Gravity shifted, throwing them off balance. Gas hissed from vents in the ceiling. Torres managed to trigger an emergency alert before consciousness faded. On the New Dawn, alarms screamed. The bridge crew watched in horror as armored figures boarded their ship through the docking collar. They tried to seal the hatches, but it was too late. The Zithral were already inside. The hunt begins. Torres woke in a cage. Her head pounded and her vision was blurry. Around her, she could see other cages holding members of her crew. They were in a large chamber with walls made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. "Welcome, humans," a voice said. It spoke in perfect English, translated by some device. "I am Lord Kessex of the Zithral Hunting Collective. You have been selected for the honor of participating in a great hunt." Torres forced herself to sit up. Through the bars of her cage, she could see the speaker, a creature that looked like a nightmare combination of insect and reptile, easily 3 meters tall. Where are my passengers? She demanded. The colonists in cryosleep? Safe for now, Kessex replied. They will serve as motivation. You see, Captain Torres, we are hunters. We have pursued prey across 1,000 worlds. And now we will hunt humanity. He activated a display showing an arena, a massive artificial environment with varied terrain. Forests, mountains, rivers, urban ruins. It looked like a twisted version of Earth. You and your crew will be released into the hunting grounds. You will have basic equipment, simple weapons. You will run, you will hide, you will fight. And we will hunt you. If you survive for 10 days, your passengers will be released. If you fail. He let the threat hang in the air. Why? Torres asked. Why are you doing this? Kessex tilted his head, his multiple eyes focusing on her. Because you are prey, Captain. This is the natural order. The strong hunt the weak. The predators feed on those who cannot defend themselves. This is how the universe works. Torres met his gaze. You've never hunted humans before, have you? No. You will be our first from your species. We have studied you extensively. We know your capabilities. We know your limitations. You are weaker than us, slower than us, less adapted for combat. You will provide adequate sport. Torres smiled. It was cold, grim, and it made Kessex pause. What amuses you? He demanded. You studied us, but you don't know us. You think we're prey because we're physically weaker. You have no idea what you've started. Kessex clicked his mandibles dismissively. You speak bravely for one in a cage. We shall see if you maintain that courage when the hunt begins. He left them then, locked in their cages. Torres immediately assessed the situation. She counted 20 crew members, not many, but enough. They were scared, confused, but they were alive. Listen to me, she said quietly. We're going to survive this. These aliens think they're hunters. They think we're prey. They're wrong on both counts. Captain, they have weapons and armor, someone said. What do we have? We have something they don't understand. We're human. We survived ice ages and plagues. We climbed to the top of Earth's food chain not because we were the biggest or strongest or fastest. We did it because we're the smartest, the most adaptable, and the most stubborn species our planet ever produced. Torres gripped the bars of her cage. These aliens want to hunt us? Fine. Let them try. But they're about to learn an important lesson about Earth's apex predator. We don't run from hunters. We become the hunters. In his command chamber, Lord Kessex reviewed the preparations for the hunt. Everything was ready. The arena was prepared. The weapons were limited but functional. The observers from other Zithral clans would arrive soon to watch the sport. He felt satisfied. This would be a good hunt. The humans would provide entertainment for several days before they were finally eliminated. He had no idea he was about to make the worst mistake the Zithral collective had ever made. He didn't know that while he prepared his hunt, the New Dawn's automated distress beacon was broadcasting across secure human channels. He didn't know that every human ship in the sector was receiving that distress signal. He didn't know about the Terran Defense Force protocols that activated when human civilians were threatened. And most importantly, he didn't know that humanity had a very simple policy regarding species that tried to hunt them, turn them into prey. The hunt was about to begin. But the roles were not what Kessex expected when prey fights back. Day 1 in the arena. The cages opened at dawn, artificial dawn, created by lights that mimicked a yellow sun. Captain Torres and her crew were herded into an airlock, given basic supplies, water, basic tools, primitive weapons like knives and clubs. Nothing technological. Nothing that would make the hunt unfair. You have 10 days, Kessex's voice echoed through speakers. Survive, and your passengers live. Die, and they die with you. The hunt begins now. The airlock opened onto a forest. Real trees, real dirt, real sky above, though Torres knew it was all artificial, contained within the massive arena structure. The crew emerged cautiously, weapons ready. Spread out, Torres ordered. Find defensible positions. Look for anything we can use as weapons or tools. These hunters think we're helpless, so let's show them otherwise. The crew scattered into the forest. Torres stayed with her security officer, Marcus Webb, a former Marine who had seen combat before joining the merchant fleet. "Captain, we're being watched," Webb said quietly, gesturing to nearly invisible cameras in the trees. "They're monitoring everything." "Good. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when you corner humans." The first Zithral hunter struck 2 hours later. It came through the trees like a ghost, its camouflaged armor blending with the environment. It targeted a young engineer named Sarah Kim, firing a projectile weapon that wasn't meant to kill, just wound, make prey bleed, slow them down for the chase. Kim screamed and fell. The hunter moved toward her, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Then Webb appeared from the trees and drove a sharpened branch through a gap in the hunter's armor. The alien shrieked, more in surprise than pain. It spun toward Webb, raising its weapon. Torres hit it from the other side with a heavy rock, aiming for the joints where armor met flesh. The hunter staggered. Kim, despite her wound, swept its legs with a branch. The creature fell. They descended on it like wolves, using rocks and sticks and raw determination. The hunter died in less than a minute, its sophisticated armor and weapons useless against 3 humans who refused to be prey. Torres picked up the alien's weapon. "Get its armor off. Anything we can use." By the time the sun set, the crew had killed 3 more hunters. Each death taught them more about Zithral anatomy, about weak points in their armor, about how they fought. And each death terrified the watching hunters more than they wanted to admit. The hunters become hunted. Lord Kessex watched the arena feeds with growing concern. 4 of his hunters dead in the first day. 4 experienced predators killed by creatures that should have been running in terror. "How?" he demanded. "How are they doing this?" "They're using pack tactics," his tactical officer reported. "They set ambushes. They work together. They're not acting like prey, they're acting like apex predators." Kessex studied the feeds more carefully. The humans had taken weapons and armor from the dead hunters. They were learning, adapting, improving their capabilities with every encounter. "Send more hunters," he ordered. Overwhelming force. "End this quickly." But it wasn't quick. Over the next 3 days, 20 more Zithral entered the arena. 15 died. The humans were evolving their tactics faster than the hunters could adapt. They used the environment, creating traps and ambushes. They used psychological warfare, mimicking animal calls to confuse the hunters. By day 5, the human crew had claimed a section of the arena as their territory. They had fortified positions, stockpiles of captured weapons, and they were no longer just defending, they were hunting. Torres led a team through the urban ruins section of the arena. They moved with military precision, despite most being civilians. Survival had turned them into soldiers. "Contact ahead," Webb whispered. 2 hunters, standard patrol pattern. Torres signaled the team to split. Half went left, half right. They surrounded the hunters, waited until the perfect moment, then struck from all sides simultaneously. The aliens never stood a chance. But Torres didn't feel victorious. She felt cold, calculating. The scared merchant captain from 5 days ago was gone. In her place was something the Zithral had created, a predator. The fleet arrives. On day 7, something happened that Lord Kessex had never anticipated. His long-range sensors detected ships entering the system. Not just any ships, human warships. Lots of them. The TDF, Terran Defense Force, had received the New Dawn's distress signal. Protocol was clear: when civilians were threatened, the military responded with overwhelming force. Admiral James Carter commanded the response fleet from his flagship, the Retribution. He was a hard man who had fought in 3 colonial wars. When he learned that some alien species was hunting human civilians for sport, his response had been immediate and violent. "Target that station," he ordered. "I want it disabled but intact. We're getting our people back." The Zithral station's defenses were impressive. They had weapons designed to repel boarding actions, shields that could withstand significant punishment. They lasted 40 minutes against the human fleet. When the station fell silent, Carter launched boarding teams. They tore through the structure, finding the cryopods holding the colonists, finding the control room where the hunt was being broadcast to Zithral observers across the sector. And they found Lord Cassix. The alien lord stood in his command chamber, surrounded by human marines in powered armor. He had lost everything: his station, his hunters, his prisoners. "You cannot do this," he said. "The hunt is sacred to my people. It is our right as superior beings." Admiral Carter entered the chamber. He was 60 years old, gray-haired, and absolutely done with alien species who thought humans were prey. "You're right?" Carter said quietly. "You kidnapped our civilians. You hunted them for sport. You threatened to kill 300 innocent people. And you think you have rights? We are hunters. It is what we do. The strong prey upon the weak. This is natural law." Carter smiled. It wasn't pleasant. Funny thing about natural law, it works both ways. You wanted to hunt humans? Congratulations. You just made yourself prey. He turned to his marines. Arrest him. Charge: attempted genocide of human civilians. Sentence: to be determined by military tribunal. As Cassix was dragged away, Carter activated the arena controls. He opened communications to the humans still fighting below. "Captain Torres, this is Admiral Carter, TDF. The station is secure. Your passengers are safe. You can stop fighting now." There was a long pause. Then Torres's voice came through, exhausted but defiant. "Understood, Admiral. But we're not done yet. There are still 5 hunters down here. We'd like to finish what we started." Carter raised an eyebrow. "Captain, you don't have to." "With respect, Admiral, yes we do. These bastards wanted to hunt us. We're going to show them what happens when humans hunt back." Carter considered this. Then he nodded to his communications officer. "Permission granted. You have 1 hour." The last 5 Zithral hunters died within 30 minutes. Not because humans were stronger or faster, but because 300 years of space exploration hadn't changed what humans were at their core: survivors who became predators when threatened. The message. The military tribunal took 3 days. Lord Cassix and his entire collective were found guilty of crimes against humanity. The sentence was clear: the Zithral hunting collective would be dissolved. Their hunting grounds would be destroyed. And they would be barred from human space forever. But Admiral Carter had one more message to send. He broadcasted across every frequency the Zithral used, ensuring every member of their species heard it. "This is Admiral James Carter of the Terran Defense Force. Let me be very clear about something. Humanity did not reach the top of our food chain by being the biggest or strongest. We did it by being smarter, more adaptable, and more ruthless than anything else on our planet. We are not prey. We are apex predators who choose to be civilized. But when you threaten us, when you hunt us, when you try to make us victims, you remind us what we really are. And you will regret it." The message was received. Within weeks, the Zithral collective had disbanded. Other hunting species across the galaxy quietly removed humans from their target lists. The word spread: humans were not prey. They were something far more dangerous. Captain Torres returned to Earth with her crew and passengers. They were all offered medical treatment and counseling. Most recovered. Some never spoke about what happened in the arena. Torres retired as planned, but not to a quiet life. She became an instructor at the TDF Academy, teaching new officers about survival and tactics. Her most famous lesson became required viewing for every cadet. Never forget what we are. We're the species that survived everything Earth threw at us. Ice ages, predators, diseases, disasters. We didn't survive by being weak. We survived by refusing to die. So if someone wants to hunt humans, let them try. They'll learn the same lesson every predator on Earth learned. We're not the prey. We're the thing that prey fears. The Zithril never recovered from their encounter with humanity. Their culture, built on 10,000 years of hunting, collapsed when they finally met prey that fought back and won. And across the galaxy, species learned a simple truth: never hunt humans. Because humans don't just fight back. They win.